Hey everybody, this is DM Mike, and this is the next campaign diary for Rise of Tiamat, Chapter 3. We are in the Tomb of Diderius. We're still in the Tomb of Diderius at this point, and this is a big comeback episode. You remember the last campaign diary, I talked about a lot of mistakes, a lot of things that happened. Well, this was an episode that was really course corrected, and from this point on, things have been really fantastic. So it was a good feeling as a DM to get the train back on the tracks, and fix all the broken pieces and continue on with the story. A really, really, really great session. But let's go ahead and throw the Tomb of Diderius up here in Tabletop Simulator. As you can see, we were in Area 5, and this is a side quest for me. You know, it's something pertaining to my table, so it may not really affect you at all, maybe just miscellaneous information. But Storm was given a vision quest while he was down there. The shaman reached out to him in a spiritual form because he had been murdered. And because of Storm staring into these statues and becoming insane, and also his proximity to the divination pool, allowed the shaman to commune with him from the dead, right? And basically gave him a vision quest. And that's a whole nother thing. I'm going to do a small little cutscene video on that. And it's like 2 minutes long. It's nothing really too overblown by any means. But it just gives him a lot of esoteric images to pull from, like most visions, right? Most visions are kind of like, there's a lot of pieces, and you got to figure out how to put them all together, right? Now, Thembraeus was also down there, and as the vision was wrapping up and the shaman was disappearing, he told Storm to reach into the fire. He did, and he pulled out a blue frost gem. What it means, what its purpose is, nobody knows. But that's to come at a later time. So Thembraeus eventually catches up to him. They have a quick conversation down there, like what happened, what was going on. Storm relayed that information of just, seeing his shaman and all this stuff. And they eventually went back up the well and continued their trek through the dungeon. Now, this was a crazy encounter, right? A lot of things that happened here were just were so avoidable. But, I'm not mad at that by any means. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. It's just players are going to do whatever they're going to do. So I'm going to have my book here as I'm going through, but let's just go through this, right? Let's put the Tabletop Simulator map back up. So they ended up passing the trap in Area 6 and went into Area 7. You can hear some pages flipping here. And that is the throne room. And there were mummies in here, sarcophaguses, and tapestries and whatnot. And I actually did have... they actually passed through here with no problems, right? So 7 was no big deal. They went in there to, let's say, room number, did they go to 9? Yes, they went to room area 9, and there was they had interaction with the ghost, and I was very clear on them. I made it clear to them that the divination pool is dangerous. The Utani or some kind of creatures come here. It's enacting divination magic and sacrifice, and the price to pay to get a vision is overwhelming. And she was very unstable. I played it as very, very unstable. And Pax and Yithriel really had a soft spot, I think, for the ghost. I talked about how the book was stolen and she was kind of framed for it and murdered. And so that really became a kind of important moment for, I think, Pax and Yithriel. They were very concerned about this and wanted to go find this book, right? So this is when things get kind of silly, all right? They go into, let's see here, the throne room, right? The throne room. Now, look, I had this set up just in case. And good Lord, I'm so glad I did because it went to hell really, really fast. Anyway, I had a sound effect set up where the voice projected into the room and they could hear what this statue had to say. And there was a lot of skill checks here. People were trying to figure out, what is this? It doesn't seem real. Is it a construct? What's going on? They couldn't figure anything out. There was a lot of suspicion, but most people did eventually lay a few coins at the feet of the throne and moved on, right? A lot of stuff happened there, but that's basically what happened. Well, wouldn't you know it? Thembraeus, our thief, a little more suspicious than the others, turns around, goes back into the room as the other players are kind of talking and doing other things, and looks to this huge illusion, which is what it was, right? This huge illusion, and then opens his bag of holding and starts to scrape all the tribute to the statue into his bag of holding. Well, that was fun. He just started up a huge encounter with the stone golem. And it's funny because I had this prepped, but I kept thinking to myself, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They'll lay their stuff there and they'll keep going. Boy, was I wrong. They went for it. So there was a huge encounter there. They defeated the golem, but Thembraeus got slammed by it, so his hit point maximum dropped by 8 or 10 hit points, something like that. And until he gets a certain spell, it never can go back up. So it was kind of detrimental at that point. So they went there. They went to the let's see, I'm sorry. They went to the throne room, dealt with that issue, and I'm going to kind of flip back here. They went there. Okay, they went to 10. Now, I took out all the bearded devils, guys. I just felt like that was too much after dealing with this stone golem. I felt like it was also kind of silly. Like, why would I go? I didn't like. Here's the thing. I want devils in the campaign. I just don't want them introduced sitting in a cafeteria. Basically, just sitting there waiting around. That's not how I really wanted to do it, right? I feel like they're a devastating enemy that you don't see a lot of. I didn't want them just sitting around and they're doing nothing, right? So I skipped that. So they went through 10 and they went into the area 12, we'll see here. And of course they did some checks in there, skill checks, trying to figure out what happened. I had all the clues written out on little pieces of paper. So if they did skill checks to figure out, what these arrows were, what happened to this particular cultist, it would be there. It'd be available to them. I like this because you can slip notes to individual players and they have the information and they kind of become the important one at the table. And if they want to share it, they can. If they don't have to. So that was kind of fun. And that's the point where after that, they went into area 13, which is the Tomb of, which is, where Diderius is physically. What's left of him. And again, I had another audio effect there that played, that I recorded my voice very similar to my radio dramas, my cutscenes. And there was a moment. There was a moment I thought, oh my God, because Thimbraeus and Storm were kind of acting goofy that night, which I love as a DM, but it was a little goofiness going on. I thought they were going to engage that mummy, Diderius. And let me tell you, that's a huge encounter. It's like 7 mummies, and one of those mummies is like a mummy lord, and he's got a huge, a lot of spells, a lot of hit points, and pretty devastating enemy. That would have been a mess, right? So there was just all these encounters that kept coming up that I thought, well, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do it. And of course, they did it. There was even a moment where they were going to, Thimbraeus, I think, wanted to kill the ghost in the library and absorb it into his sword. So there was like all this kind of stuff going on that I felt like wasn't going to happen, but almost did happen. It was kind of, is scary the word? I think it was scary. I was like, whoa, But anyway, they get to the tomb there in area 13. I play the voice, and then I open up that secret door, and immediately we get engaged with the lizard folk, who are kind of the slaves of the Yuan Ti in this area. And they battled it out there, and that's kind of where we ended, actually. They battled it out, they dropped the last lizard folk, and that's where we stopped. And I feel like I'm missing a lot of things because so many, not stupid, just like wacky things happened that night. There was a lot of stealing, a lot of taking of things. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, we stopped at, right there at the Crypt of Diderius, and it was a little scary moment. Here's one thing, another thing about these maps is you want to spend some time like balancing out all this stuff. If you're a DM, just prep everything because there were so many encounters here I didn't think the players would do, but they did. So just be ready for that. Look, prep the throne room, prep that, golem, because most likely someone's going to do a little something, a little something there, because you just never know, right? So luckily I was prepared and it went by smoothly, but it was just one of those things I didn't expect. There were just a lot of things that went down that night in this small little section here. I just went over it in like a few minutes, right? It took 5 hours to go through all that, but there were so many dicey moments. I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to kill themselves. I have nothing to do with it. They are going to kill themselves. So it was a nutty night, but it was so much fun because, the last session was rough. And it was good to have this very jovial, fun session. Oh, I forgot. I can't believe I forgot this. So you go back to the statue room. Thimbraeus and Storm are coming up the well, right? So that they're out of that. They're trying to figure out what's going on. I forgot about this. Well, when they went back into the main foyer, everybody said, okay, let's keep going. Thimbraeus turns around and goes into the statue room and says, I want to look at the statues. Boop. Another unexpected thing. And of course, he flips out. The Thimbraeus character just goes nuts. And I took control again, right? So Storm was holding him. Matter of fact, they set this up beforehand. Thimbraeus said, look, I'm going to look at the statues. Storm, you hold me down. That's how we did it, right? So Thimbraeus went nuts. There was a couple times where Storm almost lost control of Thimbraeus. Thimbraeus cast darkness. Storm was still holding him. Thimbraeus pulled out his gun and was shooting. He has a gun. Was shooting everywhere. And the bullets, because they're in stone, right? The Temple of Stone. Well, the bullet was ricocheting and actually hit Pax. And I think it hit Jaina. I'm not sure. Jalen. I'm not sure if it did or not. But, It was nutty, right? That's how this session started, with everybody already doing these wacky things. So, but nothing happened with Embrace. I'm not sure if he just wanted to see what would happen, or if he would have some kind of vision quest or whatnot. But that's just how that night began. So anyway, guys, look, if you're running this, just be prepared for anything. And there's really a whole lot more to come that I experienced in this. But the Tomb of Diderius was a hoot. Let's just say it was a hoot to do. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's all I got for you for this campaign diary. And the next one's coming up, and we're still in the tomb, and there's a lot more to come. All right, I'll see you in the next one.